we're going to go into like what does therapy look like and how to depict that therapeutic relationship, how to build like because people like writing about those things. So I wanted to make sure they kind of get what it actually should look like before they change it.
Hi, Ka-Yee. Welcome to the Stark Reflections podcast.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's so exciting to have you and to be talking about your academics and your writing and all the cool things that I know will be good for writers. But you and I know each other because of some long-haired freaky person that I know from Superstars writing seminars, right? You happen to
Are
be
you talking about,
associated with a
are you,
Joshua.
yeah, you're talking about the most handsome editor on
Oh,
earth?
actually, handsome, and what a beard that this kid is sporting today. Actually, he doesn't look 20 years old anymore, so that's good. Kahi and I are talking about Joshua Esso, who has been a regular guest on this podcast over the years, but I have Joshua's better half here. So this is about you. This isn't about him.
Well, if you want to see how he's editing chop at work, you can look at my work.
So is he your prime editor on this new book?
Yeah, he
Okay.
I've been an academic for my whole life and I only started writing in 2021.
Okay.
So
Little
he was
pandemic
like,
inspired writing?
well, yes, should I talk about that or
Well, you know what? Why don't we go back into your
yeah.
background
Yeah.
in academia? Because when I met you, when we got to, was it
Yeah.
2022 or something like that? We got to meet
Yeah.
in my neck of the woods when you guys were
Yeah.
visiting friends. We got to go out for dinner, and so our better halves, Joshua and our better halves, got to meet one another.
Yeah.
But yeah, you were. I knew you as an academic. What? So let's
Yeah.
dig into the background of what you do at the university.
Yeah. Yeah, so I've had two career in academia. The first round is I was a full-time researcher, so I study learning and memory enhancement. So kind of
Oh,
how to help people learn better, faster, and make it stick longer.
okay.
So obviously it has very wide application, right? All of life is learning.
Yeah.
So what I did was I use a lot of video games and virtual reality
This
for
sounds
my
like
learning
fun
enhancement
learning.
research.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, I'm always a fun doctor. Um, so basically, the idea here is everybody knows about learning enhancement techniques, right? Everybody has heard of the method of loci, sometimes called memory palace, but nobody actually use it very often. So, um, kind of like medical care, the last 20 inches of delivery is the hardest. So, right,
Yeah.
from the truck to the arm, right, for the vaccines. And for learning enhancement, you can teach people the technique, but you can't make them use it. Now,
Okay.
with video games or virtual reality, I can make people use them because
Oh,
it's being
wow.
implemented on them. So I can test how well people actually learn. And so I had a lot of fun doing that. And after grad school, I started doing this in a behavioral therapy context. So we study how to help people learn therapeutic techniques better. So you go to therapy, there's a lot of learning new things to kind of displace the old dysfunctional way of thinking, right? So
Yeah.
how do we get you to learn that faster, better, and so you can get well sooner? So I did some of that work when I was at Hopkins. I think that's when we met.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then I started creative writing in 2021 because during the pandemic, a lot of the volunteering and serving the community type thing I couldn't do because it's lockdown. So I have this pent up energy. It's like, what do I do with this? This story is so weird because so learning and memory, a lot of it I study about sleep as well, right?
Okay.
So what's happening to me is that this story won't stop happening in my head. So I
Okay.
have this character talking in my head when I don't, I'm one of those people that don't have an internal monologue. So this has never happened to me before. Why are these? am I going, pandemic crazy? And then obviously I know enough to know that I'm not actually hallucinating. But at the same time, it's like this story just unfolded in my head as dialogue. And then I couldn't sleep, I couldn't really eat, so I was having losing focus at work.
Wow.
So I started, Josh was like, why don't you write it down? Maybe that's what you need to do. So I started writing it down and then I can sleep and eat again. I was like, okay. So the
Wow.
whole draft, 128,000 word, came out in 2 months.
2 months. Wow, that was a lot in there.
Yeah, and because mostly dialogue,
Yeah.
because that's how the. So back to the academic journey, this, I've never done anything that is so personal and so different. Like I feel like I'm serving my community, but in because it's a hopeful story. It's a story where you watch people be okay in like a not okay situation. It's very not okay situation.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to put more time into it. But with research, I think some of your audience might know this if they're in academia. If you're a grant funded researcher, you are working at least 10 hours a day, if not 12, sometimes 16 when something is due.
Right.
And then you work 6 days a week. A lot of them work 7 days a week, but I don't work one day a week as my Sabbath. Um, so I was writing after work, so a lot, like hours a day. But I wanted to put more time into it because at this point it started feeling like a calling.
Yeah.
And so I wanted more space, so I started looking into other positions that, I can still do what I love, but in a different way and in a less time intensive way. And one thing I always wanted is to teach. And I didn't get to teach much as a researcher because,
Yeah.
hey, if you can be making grant money, writing grants, writing papers, why would you teach? You're not
Yeah.
allowed.
Yeah.
You're better for that. So I took on a teaching job and then we moved here into this beautiful neck of the world.
Oh, gorgeous. Yeah.
So it's very inspiring to be here for writing, and I get to see students all the time now. In my old job, if basically every minute I'm spending with students is I'm not writing grants, right?
Right.
So,
Right.
so I get to do that full time, and I'm not. It is again less time intensive. I can spend more time cooking. I can spend more time with Josh. So and writing. So that's my second half of my career.
That's fantastic. And so one of the things you teach is you co-author a teach with an English professor, and it's called Crafting Minds, Psychology and Fiction, Writing Characters with Psychological Depth and Flourishing as Writers. That must have been really fun for you to take your previous knowledge and apply it to help other writers, right?
I cannot believe they let us teach this class because is co-teaching with someone is a little bit more resource intensive for the university, right?
Yeah.
And but it's such a passion of mine to help students flourish, and like to learn these skills to flourish as writers is just really exciting. So yeah, so the semester started in end of January. Right now is early mid February. So we have just wrapped our first module, which is personality. So we talked a lot about different kind of personality tests and then kind of how to understand them. So we focus on one of the tests called Hexaco, Hex. Wait, I'm dyslexic. Hold on. Hexaco. So Hexaco is a six-dimension personality test, and I think is really a good tool for writers. So if you like, I can send you a link so you can attach it to your podcast or something.
Oh, that'd be
Um,
wonderful. Thank you. Appreciate that.
yeah, yeah. So understanding the different dimensions of personality. Obviously, we are more than our personality, right?
Yeah.
Is a good way to start. And we have them to exercise like tweaking those personality and then writing a character like that and then writing the opposite character and then put them in the same room together. So it's been really fun. So we debunked some bad psychology tests, like Myers-Briggs, everyone, public
Really?
service announcement. Do not believe, yes. Well, okay. So it is based on kind of non-science based theory. So Jungian theories of the psyche is more, in my opinion, more like a philosophy than science. To me, psychology is a science, right? I've been doing science a lot. And I not everybody approach psychology as a science, right? That's
Yeah.
okay. But like for me, like if I have science-based test versus non-science-based test, I'm always going to go with the one that's based on science. So, and Enneagram, same thing. Um, so go with the big five hexacle. There are other tests that probably are not super accessible, like the MMPI, Minnesota Multiphasic Personality Inventory, and the California Index, question mark. So those are probably less accessible, but the hexacle and the big five are really good ones to use. So we wrap our personality module. The next part is about psychological disorder, kind of how to write, like understanding where do you find correct information about like psychological disorder, and also what's dear to my heart is how to write while you have like maybe disability of some sort, right? So I think I already mentioned I'm dyslexic and
Yeah.
I have ADHD. So how do you function and be productive without neglecting needs? So yeah, and also writing people with disability when you don't have that disability could be challenging.
Yeah.
And we all seen enough on the media about kind of poor portrayal of people with certain disorder, right? And my students are very, very, very interested in psychopathy,
Of course.
as a room of writers would be. So we talked a little bit about a lot about that the last class. Like it got a little derailed, but it's fine. It's a conversation, right? It's me teaching them what they want to learn. So
Right.
and and then we're gonna go into like what does therapy look like and how to depict that therapeutic relationship, how to build like because people like writing about those things, so I wanted to make sure they kind of get what it actually should look like before they change it.
Oh, see,
And
I
also
should have consulted with you prior to my previous novel that features a lot of sessions in therapy with my main character. So I should have. Rats, I missed out.
we also do some technique stuff. So kind of how to use learning and memory enhancement or kind of like what we know about psychology to build better habits as writers.
Right.
Because like for example, how would we think about writer's block as a cognitive neuroscientist, right? And how would we think about things like building routines, evaluating your routines? Is your process improving? Is it working for you? How do you gauge that? So yeah, that's the kind of thing we've been playing around with. So it's been really fun.
Oh, that no, that is fascinating. Let's dig into that a little bit. Let's talk about
Yeah,
writer's block and routines. What are some
yeah.
ways to effectively measure your routine that we can let writers know, or potentially ways to like, does writer's block exist? Are there things you can do to get around it or through it or over it or under it, whatever the case may be?
Right. Yeah, so let's start with the evaluating your process, right? So
Yeah,
in again as a behavioral scientist, what I did is I made for my students. I can get my colleagues' permission. I can share that with you too. Like a worksheet where they kind of write out what they do right now, can
yeah,
just not what they would like to be, what they're doing now. Like kind
gotcha.
of where do you work? How do you work? How often do you work? What state are you internally and externally when you're working? So,
Yeah,
like for someone with ADHD, I need a really comfy nook. So, I need to have a corner that I have a blanket and I have
yeah.
my emotional support animal. Well,
Stuffy?
here.
Ah, a
Okay.
beautiful whale. Okay.
Yeah, so
A killer whale.
like yes, he's contrast to orca.
Yeah.
So so like I have a very nice lantern here so that like if so kind of give me that dopamine that I need so that I can keep working. But everybody's different, right? Find out what put you in the right state, kind of like evaluate what you do now and then kind of find out when does it work better. So kind of evaluating it regularly, like every week, check in with the same worksheet, right? Have I tried anything new? Is the new thing working? If not, am I gonna try something new, different? And I think we get into like a habit of doing things a certain way. We don't change it, and then we miss out on things that could be better. And
Okay.
kind of, I asked the students to make up 6 questions to ask themselves. Two of them about their routine, like kind of like their process, is it working for them? And then two of them about how productive they have been or how satisfied their work has been. Because it doesn't have to be a number of words, right? It could be just how good are you doing, right? And then two about their well-being. So are you pushing yourself, too hard? Where are you at? Are your relationships still good? But I let them come up with those questions themselves, and then have them just check in every week and revise these questions if they need to. So kind of like that monitoring. So taking your habit out of the automatic state into the prefrontal cortex where your smarts are, right? Where your rational thinking is kind of kind of in some way separating more limbic emotional walking on a cloud kind of situation, and then kind of look at it both ways. Yeah. So every week do that, and then until you
Yeah.
find a way that work for you, and then throw a rock at it, like as in stir it up, because sometimes uncertainty help you evaluate better. So we wanted the students to do it every week of the semester,
Yeah.
because I want them to do it when they haven't a lot of busy things going on. I want them to do it during midterms. I want them to do it when they're happy, when they're sad, so that they, in some way, they learn how to evaluate their work process and themselves, to see if they are flourishing regardless of what's going on. So that's kind of what we're hoping to accomplish.
I love that. I love that you're teaching them to be research scientists in their own processes and their own
Yeah.
writing.
Yeah. What
How
was the other
so?
thing? Oh,
Oh, no, I want to follow up on that before we get back to
yeah.
that other one. But I was like, so is that something because you had never done that kind of writing
Oh,
before, that creative writing? Did you apply those theories to yourself? Because you wrote a lot in 2 months and you didn't have a lot of time. So I'm curious
yeah.
about how was that a process you used to evaluate? Okay,
Yeah.
I need this stuffy, I need this comfy blanket.
Well, so what's really interesting is I didn't actually know I had ADHD before I started.
Okay,
I discovered that, like, I'm not going to tell you how old I am per se, but I discovered that as a fully grown human being in the
right.
last couple years. And
Yeah,
I literally have colleagues and students saying to me, I could have told you that,
yeah,
that I have ADHD. But like once I realized that, I changed my process entirely.
right.
And I've been so much happier since.
So what's
Because,
an example then of something that wasn't working and then the
yeah,
self-diagnosis or the adult diagnosis where you went, oh, that's why I don't do this. I can't follow this. You must, right? Because that's probably part of it.
yeah,
You had to find your own way.
yeah. So, like, so doing my time in research, right? So I have just always been doing it by willpower. I'm not gonna sleep until it's done. Who needs sleep anyway? So, so,
We all do.
but right. And then Josh and I both caught COVID. We caught COVID before COVID was a thing,
Oh,
before lockdown. We caught it in February,
yeah,
2020. Lockdown was like mid-March, right? So,
yeah,
and I remember at the time I was in Baltimore with the best medical care. I worked in the best hospital,
yeah,
you know, and but I remember thinking I'm not going, even though I feel like I'm gonna die. I don't want to be patient zero as a person
yeah.
in a city where there's not a lot of, Chinese people. So I was like, I don't want to do that. So we just plow through it, but we have long COVID after that. So I think a lot of the ADHD was kind of under control because I was, able to kind of just compensate to work around it.
Yeah.
But after long COVID, it's less so. What was working before, for research, I couldn't do that when I started writing. So I
Right.
have to figure out when is a good time to write. So at the time, because I'm still have that just work it until it's done mindset, I was basically writing when I was in the public transit. Yes, there are public transit in Baltimore. Most people don't know Baltimore has a subway system, and I'll write before I sleep. I'll write when I'm having breakfast before I head out. So I was able to produce the whole thing, but when I'm revising, I found that is a little bit more challenging because you don't have that dopamine hit of oh new stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I have to kind of find a better. So this is when I started evaluating my routine. When am I able to um, work in a productive manner that I don't have to what I work, and so on. So uh, once I realized I had ADHD, it be much easier because I know how to nurture ADHD brain. Give
Right.
it dopamine and give it breaks, right?
Yeah.
So one of my friends, Stacy Shaw, she's a researcher in WPI. I think I need to say this word correctly. Worcester Polytechnic Institute. So she studied what is called deliberate rest. So it's this concept of um, doing something that's not your work, but equally mentally engaging and cognitively challenging and engrossing outside of your work. So you have your
Yeah.
normal work and your deliberate rest activity. So in my case, it'd be writing, right? So what you do when you do those things kind of in turn is you actually put what you're working here into implicit processing while you're working on your deliberate rest. And when you are working on your normal job, you're basically maximizing how much your brain is doing things while being satisfied and happy the whole time.
Wow.
So I've been really preaching that everywhere I go. In all of my classes, I bribe students to do deliberate rest. They get assignment points for taking a break. So yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So
That's my kind of class.
yeah, so that's that makes it that makes it so that like with that and it really has helped me become not just write more time and work more with more time, also feel like I'm flourishing on both endeavor. So
Oh, I love that. So I have to, so you've written an epic fantasy, and I have to ask then, sounds like you applied structured science-based approach to writing fantasy. That sounds so fun.
yeah, I also snuck those things into the story.
Oh, you did you?
Yeah. I actually had a lot of fun coming up with a fun fantasy name for it, but I just want to be super clear. It's not like a psychology book.
No, 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 no. I mean,
Yeah.
this is like character-based, plot-driven
Yeah.
adventure fantasy, but I'm curious about the fact how you applied your scientific approach that you're already
Yeah.
familiar with into this whole new realm.
Yeah. It's been really interesting. Like there is this with hold on, let me see if I can recall correctly. There's this phenomenon that has been observed. We don't really know how yet it works, but that's not like my expertise. So I want to make sure I'm clear on that. That people have tend to have two careers in their life. The most satisfied, happy people, they tend to have two different career. They have one set of skill, they build up to the pinnacle, and then pivot to something altogether different. And taking all that stuff and applying to this new career. Sometimes they would have both at once. Sometimes they would just change career altogether. It seemed to keep happening. So I was actually demographically at the right age to do that pivot. So yeah, it's really crazy how all the things that I've been learning all of my life is now doing something altogether different.
Awesome. So this book, I know this book's coming out in stages, right? So this book is going to be available to the general public. When is that actual release date?
Yeah.
Because I know there's something
Uh
else going on right now.
yeah, after the Kickstarter is fulfilled.
Okay. All
So,
right. So,
um,
and we are in Kickstarter mode right now as we speak, early in
yeah,
February 2026, right?
yeah. So it launched February 6th.
Okay.
And this is what, 4 or 5 days in,
Yeah.
and we are 70% funded, which
Okay.
is I may or may not cried a bit when I saw like we were halfway there on the first day.
The first day. Wow. Okay,
Yeah,
so
within the
this is
first 12 hours.
we haven't mentioned the title of this epic fantasy. What's it called?
Yeah, it is called Shaswick of Land. Time becomes relevant.
Oh,
And
wow.
Josh and I made this bookmark for Kickstarter.
Kickstarter. And I did see those I did get handed one of those bookmarks and talked to Joshua about that as well. So it's already at 70% and it's running for a few
Yeah,
more weeks. So what are some of the things that people can expect in the Kickstarter apart from obviously are they going to get access to an early version of
yeah,
the book or
yeah. Well, I hope this is the final version. I've been working on this for 5 years.
No, I just mean like before the general public can
Oh
buy it
yeah,
on
yeah.
Amazon, they get it, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's gonna be a special Kickstarter edition. We have the ebook, print, trade paperback, and audiobook. So
Oh.
done by Aaron Force.
Oh,
Yeah,
Aaron
he's
did
very
it?
talented.
Oh,
Yeah,
Aaron's
Aaron's doing it
amazing.
right
Yeah,
now.
yeah. Oh, that's
Yeah, so he
fantastic.
yeah, and he we had made a sample of it and I put it on YouTube. So
Of course.
and on the campaign page. So it's really good because he's not just narrating, he's kind of living the story.
He does all the
It's so
voices.
great.
I mean, he's a Hollywood actor too, and he can
Yeah.
do he really it's like an active narration. It's really exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my story has a very diverse cast from like kind of different earthly language inspired language in the book. So he's doing all the accents and all the different ranges. And
Right.
I love Broadway shows.
Okay.
So I would describe people's voices using like kind of that kind of vocalist terms, and he knows exactly what they mean. He knows exactly what a Helden tenor sound like.
Oh, yeah, I bet he ate
Yeah.
that up. Yeah, of course.
So it's been so fun just seeing someone interpret the story. Yes. So Kickstarter, we have those three version of the story, and then the Kickstarter allow us to print some physical copy of the books, so that I can sell it in convention when I meet other readers and learn
Yeah.
more about the writing craft and business. Um, So, after those are sold out, it will probably move to like a print on demand type situation
Yeah.
that you know a lot about.
Yes.
Yeah, so
Cool.
but yeah, so that's what we have now and I'm very excited. And it's just so weird to see this thing that's been in my head for 5 years
Yeah.
in the world.
Yeah, exactly. And so when does the Kickstarter end so people listening to this
Yeah.
can go jump on it?
Yeah, it's March 8th. So it's
March
gonna
8th.
end on March 8th, and upon which the ebook will be released because the ebook is actually produced as
Yeah.
because I made an ARC copy for a
Yeah.
few reviewers out there.
Right.
And the audiobook, Aaron should be I think he was saying end of March.
Right.
So and then the physical book is, we currently, actually, I just had a meeting with my art director, and then she's laying the interior layout. So we should be done before the Kickstarter is done, and then I can send in the print order as soon as I get the money.
Oh, awesome. That is fantastic. So what's your pitch or what's your log line for this epic fantasy? I'm sure that's something that you've talked with Joshua about.
Yes, but I'm also kind of, I'm still practicing how to do this.
It's okay, we get an early version. There we go.
Yeah. This is a story about Magnolia. She is a human elf hybrid, and uh, there's just war brewing everywhere as she was growing up. But one day, war came to her house. Um, Her mother was abducted by the enemy forces, and they tried to steal her as well, because unbeknownst to her, she was born with a magic that can stop this war. And so her dad took her and hiding. So she had to leave her family behind. her city and just go into this city that isn't particularly welcoming to people who are not humans. So she is a elf human hybrid. So she grew up there, but in while she was there, she became friends with this entity. He showed up as a child at first. His name is Shaswick. He is not what he appears to be. He is of a people called the Unnamed. They are so rare that scholars think they're kind of mythical, but they are one with nature. So Shaswick is one with the land. That's why he is called Shaswick of Land. Um, and they became friends, and this trilogy is a this well the first volume of the trilogy is about them falling in love and as they try to fight this war. But she's a successful politician, so she's not fighting the war with swords. She's using her wits and her words and kind of try to maneuver pieces to keep the people safe. And yeah, so that's volume one, and then volume two, and three is about kind of how that relationship continued to unfold and how they fight this war together.
Okay.
Did I just give a spoiler?
No, not at all. That's okay. That's a teaser. It's a teaser. So I'm curious, was it Shazwick's voice? Was it her voice? Like
Yeah.
whose voice was
It's
it?
a
Or were they
framed
both?
narr Yeah, it's a framed narrative with Shaz as the framing. Like he is it opens with a preamble. So and then it's both viewpoint. I have
Okay.
part zero, which is not a prologue.
Yeah.
Where because I I think I'm gonna move forward story always kind of in this format because so the part zero is about Magnolia as a child
Yeah.
when these life-changing events is happening. Because psychologically, I think a lot of us can look back to our childhood and think of a thing, an event or a season that we are one way going in and a whole different way coming out. The world is different. You
Right.
see the world differently. So I wanted to always open with a page in the character's formative events and then go into the story. So that's kind of how this is structured. Part zero is that, and then the rest she is an adult. Um,
Okay. I love that.
yeah,
So I
yeah, and
have
then they
to,
both have their viewpoints is third person, a limited third person, so it's really
right.
close to the
Right.
narrator. Yeah,
Well, that leads me to have to ask you one of the final questions here is how, since you've written this first book in a trilogy,
yeah,
how do you see the world differently now that you've gone through this process?
yeah. Um, I think fiction might be the way to convince people the world is kinder than you expect. Like when you're just in the dark moments of your life, sometimes we feel alone, we feel like nobody get us, but we can connect even when we sometimes just don't get each other. It doesn't mean we don't care. Um, I think a lot of us seek to be fully understood, and I want us to continue to have that hope. But until then, until we find people that fully understand us, I want us to be able to kind of give that understanding because as we give that understanding, we receive it.
That is absolutely beautiful and the perfect way to end this interview. I want to thank you so much, but first, can you please let my listeners know where they can find you online, as well as,
Yeah.
links to the Kickstarter and all the cool things about you?
You can find me at Snow Quill Press. So snow as in, snow, and quill, like a, feather you write with, and press as in, publisher. So Snow Quill Press. And what I love about this name is that it's really hard to say unless you're smiling. Try it.
Snow Quill Press. Yeah, it makes me smile. And I'm
Yeah,
positive that reading this book is going to make people smile. So,
yeah,
Ka-Yee, thank you so much for hanging out with me today.
yeah. Thank you so much, Mark, for having me.